Here is how this book inspired me to make this artwork. Hello and welcome back. I hope you're doing well and having a lovely day. In this video I'll be drawing some fan art, which isn't like me, but this year I've been getting really into fantasy books, and the book that kicked it off for me is Fourth Wing. I'll explain in a little more detail on why this book bangs, but for now, let's get started. So like all big projects that I do, I really like to start off with smaller thumbnails to get an idea for the composition. So I ended up choosing this thumbnail as my main point of reference going forward. I like how dynamic the two dragons are and the way they're interacting with each other. Since I've already drawn this and I'm really lazy, I decided to scan this in and then reprint it in a larger format so I can just trace over my original sketch in more detail. And I've made the lines very faint by lowering the opacity in Photoshop before printing it back out. The dragons I'm drawing here today are called Tarn and Ardana. And in the book, Tarn is described as this huge, massive, ancient dragon who's basically Himothy. He is him throughout the book, compared to Ardana, who is small and cute and basically a little baby. So they're basically the dynamic duo, and I thought I need to draw this. I think it's important to note that this is not going to be an accurate representation of how Rebecca Yarros envisioned these two dragons, but rather how I saw them in my own head whilst reading the book. So now I've got that sketch done, you know the vibes, I've printed it out again so I could go back over it with more detail. And to save this video from being like 2 days long, here is the final pencil sketch. And it is now time to add the border. I really wanted to go for this Celtic look, like dark academia kind of vibe, and something that felt like fantasy and old-timey. Okay, now I've got one corner down. I need to replicate them on all four of the corners of this page. So back into Photoshop we go. I've duplicated these and masked them out so I can replicate them on all four. And the only part we're missing now is the side bit, so I'll have to print it out again and draw it back in. Now the main drawing's done, I'll obviously put this back into Photoshop once again, reprint it onto toned tan paper. Normally I don't do this, but today I decided to start with the background, and I always start with the white highlights. Because of the tone tanned paper, it creates a great midtone, so then I can kind of see the picture already just from the highlights and midtones. And at that point, I'm like, well, all I've got to do now is just put the shadows in. I really wanted this piece to be ethereal and they were in some kind of universe, even though the book is specifically really dark, it's rainy. Think of dark academia, think of like Harry Potter when it's winter, that kind of vibe. I just felt when I was reading about these dragons that they felt really mystical. They were like these other beings. I wanted to portray that with colour pencils and mixing pastel-like colours together. Now honestly, I should probably talk a little bit about like what actually got me interested in this book, because my attention span is so low. I am a doom scroller, I love scrolling on TikTok, and I cannot focus on anything for longer than like 10 seconds. So asking me to read a book is a pretty tall task. But my girlfriend kept reiterating that all you have to do is find the books you love reading and you'll be hooked. And let me tell you guys, she was not wrong. She recommended me this book when we were at the airport. We were about to go on holiday, and I was looking at the size of the pages and thought to myself, well, I've got nothing else to do while I'm sat on the beach just vibing, so why not give it a go? Oh boy, this book literally had me on the edge of my seat. I was laughing, I was crying, I was shocked. The world building, the characters, the romance, the stakes, everything was just so good. And honestly, it's just a really good book for your entry into fantasy. It changed my life. I am now bookish, as they say. I am now a bookworm. I am indulging in all the romantasy series that I can possibly grab my hands on. But my main point is, I think this has just unlocked like a massive visual library for me. The fact that I kind of just disregarded reading altogether sometimes because I didn't really understand what I liked reading or what I valued in reading a book. I think my brain is so cluttered from seeing visual media all the time, whether it be on Instagram, the TV. So visually, there's things in front of my eyes that already exist right there. But with a book, I'm interpreting the imagery from just words. And there you have it. Man discovers book for the first time and needs to make a video about it. I've probably just set society back another 40 years. If you're interested in a colour pencil tutorial, a bit more in depth, going over how I blend them, what kind of colours I'm using, the selections, then please drop a comment below because I'd be interested to know how many people would want to see that. Because of how big the dragon Tarn is described as in the book, I really wanted to get that sense of scale across in this picture. I've done this by making the two legs at the bottom a lot lighter in comparison to the high contrast of the head and the body at the top. Just as if you were painting a landscape, things that seem further away are lighter to your eyes. And I can use this yellow pencil to go over the top layer to make it even lighter. Okay, and now we are on to the last dragon, and with this one specifically, I wanted to make sure that she was essentially the light source, and light was emitting from her. So starting with the brightest highlights, I decided to use white pencil to kind of emulate that feeling. With the main dragons done and partially the background, it's time to do the border. Now, rather than having the border in 3D or look kind of metallic-y, I think it would kind of drown the rest of the image out. I decided to do it in this really dark navy, so that it would appear flat and make the two dragons pop out more from the background. And for the final Chef Kisses touch, I'm using the POSCA paint pen to add in really bright stars in the background, just to give it that extra oomph. Just want to sign out here and say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. It means the absolute world to me. I want to keep growing on this platform and just keep pushing my artistic journey, really. And you guys being along there for the way, like, really matters to me. So thank you once again. Enjoy the artwork. I love you all. See you in the next one.